Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the very first virtual open evening held by the Holgate Academy. We are absolutely delighted to see so many families joining us on here tonight. We believe we've got about 100 families, which is very impressive. So thank you very much for joining us. We hope that you can tell us, we can tell you a lot more about Holgate and how we support children taking the important step from primary into secondary education. So obviously we would rather have had you all on site for a traditional open evening, but under the current circumstances, obviously this is not possible. However, we wanted to do something that we felt our community would want. And to give you the chance for potential students and their families to meet key members of staff that will be important faces to children to know when they hopefully join us in September 2021. So can we say now, obviously this is the very first time that we've done this and done an open evening in this way, so please can you excuse any minor hiccups that we may have. There may be a couple of technical difficulties, but we've tested it. We hope that it'll work for you and hope that it'll give you an experience and a flavour of what the Holgate Academy is all about. Hopefully you will enjoy the experience as much as we do. So just to do some introductions. So my name is Paul Watts. I am the Senior Marketing Manager for Diverse Academies Trust, of which obviously Holgate Academy are a part. And if I can introduce the rest of our panel for tonight. So you should now be able to see them. So from the left to the right, we have Mr. Diamond, who is our assistant principal and our transition lead. On the in the middle, sorry, we have Mr. Pennington, who is our academy principal. And on the right hand side is Miss Chapman, who is head of year 7. So I'll just put myself back on. So here we go. There we go. The technology seems to be working, which is great. So we will begin the event shortly with a presentation which Mr. Pennington, our Academy Principal, will lead, which will outline some key information about the Academy, our ethos, our standards, and how our students learn and develop at the Holgate Academy. We'll then have a question and answer session of about 25 minutes where you can ask any questions of our panel. So if you can use the question tab on here, which you should all be able to see, to post your questions, I will then ask those questions of our panel. Any question that we don't manage to get through in the allotted time, we will post the answers. We'll note those questions down. We will post the answers on our website before the end of the week. So we'll send that link out to all the attendees tonight. And hopefully that will give, if there are any questions that you have that maybe we've not managed to touch on, hopefully that should give you all the answers that you need whilst you're obviously considering whether to apply. So we'll move on and I will introduce Mr. Pennington and his presentation. So if I can hand this one over to you, sir. I believe actually you might need to unmute your microphone because I don't think I can do that bit for you. So if you can do that, that would be fab. And bear with me, I will send you live. I'll send you live in a second. So here we go. Over to you, Mr. Pennington.
Thank you, Paul. Just a quick presentation, really, where what we're going to try to do is give you a flavour of the Holgate Academy, what we're about, and a general overview, really, of what we can offer. It would be completely remiss not to focus first and foremost on the 3 core values that we really hold from leadership, teaching staff, students, everyone involved at the Holgate Academy now. There's a key focus on these 3 core values of manners, determination and teamwork. Put simply, be polite, try your best and help everyone. And I think those core values mirror across the staff body as well as the students. That's what we're looking for from absolutely every person within our community. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Diamond for a few slides now, and then I'll be coming back to you to finish the presentation off.
Thank you, sir. So one of the things that will be key to your decision making about a secondary school for your child is what are the students likely to experience. The first caveat I'm going to place straight away is we are in very different times. So what we decided to do tonight was put onto the slides what under normal circumstances students experience at the Holgate Academy. Clearly, with the COVID situation, some things are a little bit different, but we are counting down the days until we can return to a normal school life. So hopefully this will give you a full flavour of what to expect once we get back to some normality. So at the Holgate Academy, students get the opportunity to experience a range of subjects. Yes, they get the opportunity to study those core subjects, the English, the maths, the science, the humanities subjects, but also we think it's really important that students coming in straight away from year 7 also experience some of those subjects that they might choose to take in their GCSE options when they get to year 10. So to do that, we make sure that every student experiences a range of design and technology subjects, photography, art, music and drama. As well as those subjects, we're really lucky to have the staff that we have at Holgate. They are, number one, a passionate staff body, but also they are really, really expertly trained in their subject. So every subject has expert teachers who have a real passion for their subject, and they pass that on to the students through their everyday lessons. On top of that, and recognised by a number of different bodies from outside of our organisation, is our pastoral support. And what I think is best in this situation is to pass over to Ms Chapman, who is the head of year 7, to give you a real example of what she does on a day-to-day basis and what support the current year 7s are getting at Holgate.
Thanks, sir. So evening, everybody. So currently I'm head of year 7, will be head of year 7 next year also. And I oversee everything that when it comes to year 7. So everything to do with the pastoral care in terms of behaviour, attendance, support, that comes down to me. I also have a team of 9 very experienced tutors who have approximately 26 in their tutor group, and those tutor groups also go out into the mainstream lessons as classes. So what's really important this year is that we've kept the same tutor groups and the same teaching groups. So the students will get to know other students in their tutor group and in their teaching group and make their way around school for their subjects in those classes. Also the tutor, like I say, is very, very important. They're the person that sees the students every single day. They're the first point of call for any parents if they have any questions or queries. And then obviously that comes to me if I need to assist with anything from then on. A link to the pastoral team. We also have another member of staff who's the pastoral manager, who doesn't have a teaching timetable like the rest of us in terms of heads of years, and so that person is on hand for the students should they need us when we're also teaching.
Thank you, Miss. Another side of the provision for students is the opportunity for personal development and growth, something that we take a lot of pride in for our students and something that we put a lot of time into the planning and implementation within the Holgate Academy. Yes, all schools are about qualifications, all schools are about developing that knowledge, that understanding, but also at Holgate we take a lot of pride in developing the knowledge of the student themselves and the development of themselves, providing them with the skills to flourish and be the best that they can be. Linked into that, Holgate has a exceptional, and again that's a word that's been used from outside agencies who've come into the academy, SEND support team, with their own bespoke rooms to support students with SEND priorities, whether that be in lessons or offering a bit of support outside of lessons. So that's in terms of the classroom and the day-to-day provision. Next slide, Paul, please. So something else that we are really, really proud of is the number of positive relationships and how we strive to make sure that everybody within our community as an academy have really top class experiences and top class relationships. So student to student, As Ms Chapman was talking about through our tutor programme, our pastoral system, we encourage our students to take on lots of different roles and responsibilities within the academy and to get involved with supporting each other. So an example would be that the year 11s, under normal circumstances, would all be involved in mentoring the new year 7s when they come in. So they would meet with those year 7s, they would check that they're okay, they would provide them with a little bit of help on things that they may not feel comfortable talking to teachers about, because students will have different relationships with each other. So whether that be the form captain, whether that be a form council rep, or like I said, the mentors that we have in school, we're really proud of those relationships that students from across all years have with each other. Alongside that, we really push positive relationships between students and all of our members of staff, not just the teaching staff, but every member of staff involved at the academy. Being able to have conversations, seek out and speak to those members of staff, even if it's just to tell them that they won a game of football at the weekend, something they're proud of, but also being there if they need any help and any guidance is really important to us. Along with that is the importance of having such a strong relationship with home. We want every home to be able to feel confident in contacting the tutor in the first instance, to have a conversation, to celebrate success, or if there are any concerns, raise them with the tutor so that we're aware of them and we can work with you. As well as that, like Ms Chapman's already said, that relationship with the year leaders and then going higher up, faculty leaders and the senior leadership team, everybody here is available to support as and when is needed. And it would be remiss of us not to mention the really positive relationships that our staff have between each other. The teamwork that we have that goes into what Mr Pennington was saying at the start, teachers working together, teachers supporting each other to making sure that they provide the best education, provision, experience for our families and for our students. The next bit of that is also really key and something that we build on year. This year might be slightly different because of COVID and some of the events that we support not running, but our links to the community. We want to be out helping the community as much as we can. So some examples of that is that we've done every Easter an Easter egg collection for the children's oncology unit at the City Hospital. We've done the Christmas shoebox appeal for a number of years, and what that has proven is that our community, everybody involved in Holgate, is striving to make other people's lives the best that they can be and working together. Thank you. Next slide, Paul. So we now move on to the section that you're probably going to be most interested in at this stage. It's one that we have the most questions about at this stage of the year, and that's transition. How are we going to support your child's move from primary to secondary education? And let's not say otherwise, it is a big step. But what I say when I've usually got people sat in front of me in the school hall is your anxieties are probably more so than your child's. So what we want to do here is try and give you as much information to help you make the right decision here, but then also support you through the process so that if you do have any questions, we're always available to support with that. So what do we usually do? Okay, imagining that COVID isn't here and that we can run normally as we would. As soon as we've got our allocation for people that have chosen to accept a place at Holgate, we start working with the primary schools in identifying the students, learning about each and every student. To do that, either Ms Chapman or one of the Year 7 team goes into the primary school and has a face-to-face conversation with the primary teacher, the person who probably knows your child better than anyone outside of your very close family and friendship group. We do that so that we can learn everything, not just what their predicted levels are going to be, not just how good they are in representing the school in productions or sport, but what they're like as a person. What do they enjoy? What don't they enjoy? What might they need a little bit of extra support with? Once we've done that, we use all that information to put those into one of our, and for this year it's 8 tutor groups based on their friendship groups. So our first term, they are with their friends that we work closely with the primary schools to keep them together, to support them through that big step. Once we get to Christmas, our faculty leaders will have spent a term teaching them, getting to know all the youngsters. From there, they may choose to start looking at tweaking the groups, making some changes for lots of different reasons. But until December, those students would stay the same. We also run 3 intake days where we invite those students into school to experience 3 full days of lessons. We don't test them as soon as they walk through the door. We let them come in and experience typical days in the academy, because the best way to get your feet under the table is to experience it. So that's what we do. Within that time, they experience lessons, they experience lunch times with us, they experience assemblies, and they get to meet some of those faces that they're going to see and be taught by when they join us in year 7. What we then do in September is that we bring them in, we do a bit of a gradual entry for them, so they'll come into school, they'll spend a bit of time with their tutor, the person that they've developed a relationship with, before going off to their normal lessons. Now, like I said, that is what we would do normally, and hopefully that is what we'll be able to do post-Christmas next year. However, like we said, COVID is with us, so it would be silly of us not to talk about how we tweaked and changed things to ensure that that support was there for everybody from the last academic term. And again, the best person to talk to you about that is Ms Chapman, because she was one of the key people in thinking on her feet, putting a really comprehensive package together that was supported and has been, again, widely accepted as good practice across the feeder primary schools in Hucknall. So Ms Chapman will just run through some of the things that we did.
Thanks, sir. So as you can imagine, this year was very, very different for us. As Sir said, normally we try and get people in, try and experience it in school, and that obviously wasn't possible. So the conversations with the primary schools still went ahead. They were all done virtually through Zoom meetings or Skype meetings, and I spent several hours, really important hours actually, speaking to the year 6 teachers to try and get an understanding of the students. For me, that was absolutely key. I knew that my job was, first and foremost, to put the students in groups that would, 1, make sure that they academically achieved and had a really good mix in the class, but 2, and more importantly, allow the students to settle. So as Mr Diamond mentioned, I was putting students into groups where the primary schools said, please keep these students together. These are the friendship groups we want to put them together with, and I was creating my groups from that. Now, absolutely key for me over the kind of lockdown period and then coming back to school also was communication. So I communicated with the primary schools pretty much on a weekly basis, sometimes twice weekly, to send out information to them that they then fed to their year 6s. So, for example, we had presentations of work from our faculties. We had videos of virtual tours around the school. They had videos from myself, my year 7 team to introduce themselves, and they filtered that all along to the year 6s. In some cases, they showed that in school if they had the year 6s in, but in other cases, they filtered that out to the parents. It was also really important to me to make sure that I spent time speaking to parents and speaking to the students. So my tutors this year, when they found out who their tutees were going to be, they made calls towards the back end of June, the start of July, to speak to all of the parents and all of the students in their tutor group. And that was just to touch base, really, just to introduce themselves, just to say, you know, how we were going to move forward, and just to give a point of contact. So in the first instance, as Mr Diamond mentioned earlier, the tutors are the first point of contact, and the parents had that contact even before the summer holidays. So during the summer holidays, if the parents had any questions, they could email the tutors, and that was the first point of call in terms of the answers coming back. I also didn't want the summer holidays to try and stop my contact with parents. So weekly, throughout the summer holidays, I also sent WeDuck messages. So if you're not familiar with WeDuck, WeDuck is our school's communication system. It's how we send out all our information, how we talk to parents, and I sent weekly messages to all of my parents. They were simple things sometimes about the start of school, where we wanted the students. Other times it's about what equipment they needed. It might have been about their journey to school and have the students tried out what buses to catch, how long it took to get to school. But I think more importantly for the parents, the feedback that I've had is that they really like the fact that they could message me, message the tutors. If they had any queries, any questions, they could come straight to us and I could send those messages straight back to them. And although we would ideally like to go back to old transition, hopefully if COVID has disappeared before we get to this kind of transition, there is certainly things that I would move forwards with and continue with next year. So the weekly communication to parents and to the primary schools, and the email addresses to tutors, and the WeDuck address for myself in terms of parents asking questions is something that I will move forward with. Feedback from parents also, and the primary school heads and teachers was very, very positive towards our school website. So if you haven't had a look, please take a look at the school website. There is a specific transition page, and if you click on the transition page and go to transition 2020, you will be able to see everything that we put forward for our year 7s, current year 7s, and that will be similar for next year. So please take a look at that. It's got videos from our head boy, our head girl, it's got videos from myself, it's got links to the year 7 team, it's got links to faculty, and also links to the SEND team with a video from themselves. So please take a look, because there might be some things that you perhaps don't know and that I haven't answered, and that's on that website also.
Thank you, Miss. And Miss Chapman's taken us on to the next point about, you know, what we will do this year as we move through. The answer is it's going to be a hybrid of both what we would do normally and what we did last year. The reason for that is we were forced because of COVID to do things slightly differently, and we've actually realised that some of the things that we did, like Ms Chapman's just been speaking about, is actually enhanced our provision. So if we can use those in line with the face-to-face contact once COVID has disappeared, then we think that our transition package will be enhanced by that and will be really, really, you know, an exciting prospect moving forward. This next part, bullet point, with help with the process. Now, this is the bit where I go a little bit rogue. And obviously we're here talking to you about Holgate and how we think that Holgate is the best school for lots of students. And what we also realise is that some parents and carers will have some generic questions about the process of applying for school places. And what we say every year is, hopefully you will choose us. We would love to see your child or children here in September with us. But if you have any questions or require any help with the process of applying, then please don't hesitate to contact us at the Academy, and we'll help you to the best of our ability, whether you're going to be putting us down as one of your options or not. Because we have realised in the past that that support for parents and families necessarily out there, there's no one really to go to. So we offer that service to be there to provide you with our experiences and our knowledge to help you. So that's an offer to everybody, and hopefully we will be on your list, but if not, that doesn't matter, we'll still help you. The final bullet point on this is the Academy Action Tours, and again, these have unfortunately been put on hold sort of for the last cohort and for this cohort because of COVID. What we would normally be doing here is inviting you to book in to come for a tour of our academy, so you can see, you know, everything that happens in this school on a normal school day with a tour with either myself or one of my senior colleagues. Hopefully, and I've planned this before the statement by the Prime Minister yesterday, we'll be able to get to that stage at some point this academic year. So if we can, depending on what stage we're at, we will do some Academy Action Tours so that they will still run if we are allowed by government policy at the time. Thank you, Paul.
Right.
So the next slide is all about something that is really, really important to us at Holgate, and that's the programme of enrichment that we offer outside of the classroom. So whether that may be trips and visits like the Year 7 annual camping trip to Bushcraft, whether it's the Year 8 Kingswood trip, or whether it's some of the extracurricular sessions that run after school and at lunch times from the highly qualified and skilled Holgate staff. That is a vital part to a young person's education. Being able to experience things like robotics, like art club, where they can do something a little bit different and hone their skills, or even just go because they enjoy it, along with all the sports clubs, is really important. Again, it's something that unfortunately we're having to tread very carefully with at the moment with all the restrictions, but hopefully as soon as that COVID has disappeared and restrictions loosen, we'll be able to put that back on in terms of sports, arts, drama, school shows, science, robotics, cooking, you know, those groups that our students love after school and at lunchtimes, that again allows them to build stronger relationships with students and with staff. Thank you, Paul. The next slide is something that again will be extremely high up on your list, and that's how well do students do when they come from Holgate. Well, our students do as well as any other school that you can find, and I'm not going to talk through every student's achievements from last year that are on there. You will be well aware from the press what happened with results and the confusion and the effect that had, but you will see from there that our students achieve as well as any student from any other school. The key thing that I'd like to just put onto this is that clearly there are students on there who have achieved immense GCSE A-level applied subject grades, but there are also a number of students who maybe haven't got as high grades as the ones that you're seeing, but have outperformed their target grades by 2 or 3 grades because of the work that they've put in, the support that they've had. And it's not just about, for us, those students that are going to get 9s, 8s, 7s. It's about every student achieving their best and being pushed to achieve the best grade that they can achieve. So that opens the doors for them for their next step on the journey in education, whether that's through to the Hucknall Sixth Form Centre, like the students at the bottom who stayed with us from year 7 through to year 13, or whether that next step might be an apprenticeship or a college place. It's about encouraging, equipping, and then celebrating every student who has done their best and achieved their best. So now I'm going to hand back over to Mr Pennington. The next slide.
So yeah, next slide, please, Paul. Okay, so this slide really centres around our partnership with the Diverse Academies Trust and all the academies involved in that trust. For any parents who are not quite sure what that relationship means, effectively we have a source of support in the form of many other different academies. We've just spoken about the pastoral side of things with the transition and where we've been seen to be really pushing pioneering forward really with a new approach within COVID. Other academies within the trust can come to us, get advice and move forward with that. In the same way, from an academic point of view, Mr Diamond has already referred to the expertise we have in our teaching staff. Now those staff are involved with all sorts of different collaboration within the trust. They're able to meet with other members of the trust, they're able to meet with subject teachers from their subject areas, they're able to meet with other teachers, looking at a whole range of pedagogy so that we are operating at the best possible standard we can do. And that's why we believe the teaching and learning at Holgate Academy is second to none. Not only have we got staff who are extremely passionate about the subjects that they're teaching, but they've got a desire to keep on improving, keep on looking at new ways of teaching and keep on thinking of ways that we can really inspire the students that we've got at our academy. Okay, next slide please, Paul. Okay, so vision for the future. Really in terms of this slide here, this is really focusing on making sure that we're equipping our students, thinking about what the next steps are when we move on from the Holgate Academy, making sure that the expectations are there for the social interactions between our students, really sort of fitting in with where we are moving as an academy in terms of our own improvements. Particularly this year, those social interactions are at the heart of it, really thinking about the manners, determination and teamwork that I've already mentioned. In terms of determination to learn in the classroom, really trying to inspire that determination so that all our students are really trying the best in every single lesson, in every single production that they're involved in every single elements of sport that they're involved in. Everything that they do, try the best right across the board. And finally, the last thing really in terms of where we're moving for improvements, again, features around that enrichment and making sure that our students want to be involved, they want to participate. And I think right from the word go, Miss has just spoken about the transition and how we get students in, how we make people feel part of the community, how we make people feel that they want to be involved in what's going on at Holgate Academy. That is what we're about, getting people involved, making them want to do their best, and making sure that all through it, positive relationships and politeness and manners run through the whole thing. Okay, that's the end of the presentation, I think there, Paul.
It is, yes, brilliant. So hang on, let's work with the technology. Here we go. So and it's back to me. So thank you very much. So thank you to all of our team for the presentation. Now, normally on our open evenings, we would usually involve some student ambassadors. But obviously, we can't do that under the current circumstances. So we feel that it's important to have a student's view of the Academy. So this week we have been conducting some interviews with our Year 7 students, and we've filmed them. So it's all about their experience of starting at Holgate, what that transition was like, and what their first few weeks have been like. So we've just got a short video to play for you now, so I'll just cue that up for you. And there we go, so I've queued that up. So I will share that with you now. So if you just bear with me whilst I start that. Hopefully that will work. Come on. It says. Sorry, I'm just having a couple of technical issues here. Sorry. For some reason that didn't work. The shared window has disappeared. Let's try that again. See, you can test these things out, but sometimes just it's just crashed on me. So just bear with me a second whilst I upload that again, and then I'll get that to you. Right, so I've got that uploaded now, I think. Bear with me, system audio. Right, here we go. So hopefully this should now work. So
I came from Edward Primary School.
Hillside Primary and Nursery School.
I came from Hillside Primary and Nursery School.
I came from Holgate Primary School.
I found it like nerve-wracking, but then I got used to it after the first week.
It was scary at first, but I got used to it when I figured out the way around.
It was a bit nerve-wracking, but I was still excited to come.
At first I was a bit nervous, but I got used to it at the end of the first week.
And they gave us transition booklets, stationery packs, and also a tour around both parts of the school.
They gave us a stationery set, and they gave us a virtual tour around the school before we actually came.
They gave us a virtual tour and they emailed my parents and they did a lot of stuff to help me.
The first week I had butterflies and I was quite scared, but as soon as I got to know my way around, it was quite fun, and all the staff were really helpful.
It's been good. I was struggling at first, but now I got used to it.
The first few weeks I was a bit nervous because I
because I didn't know my way around the school, but after that it was amazing.
They were actually really fun. I like all the lessons and I can't wait to move up. The staff are really helpful. On the first week I was a bit lost and they helped me lots.
A little bit, yeah, because we used to just do like maths and English and spelling homework, and now we get homework for every single subject. Not yet because they're not open, but I would definitely like to take part in either art or drama when they do open.
Not yet because the activities aren't open, but when they do open, I will probably take part in art or drama.
For now they're closed, but when they do open I definitely will. Don't worry, it's all okay, and first week will be a bit you'll be a bit nervous, but you'll get used to it.
Don't be scared to ask any questions to the teachers because they will all understand, and remember it's your first week, so you will get some things wrong.
I would say it's all okay. You might struggle on the first week, but then you'll get used to it. There's stuff to help you, and people with the green vest will help you a lot.
Don't be worried. You might be worried on the first week, obviously, but once you get to know your way around school, it's really fun, and all the teachers will definitely help you, and yeah, it's really fun.
So there were the reactions of our students to some questions about their transition, their first few weeks at Holgate. So I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully it will give you and your children an insight into starting education at Holgate and the support that's available from staff during that transition period. So now we're going to move into the question and answer element of the event tonight. So we've got a number of questions already posted. If you do have any other questions, then please do post them in there. I'm going to put Mr. Diamond, Mr. Pennington and Miss Chapman back on the screen so you can see them, but I will pose the questions to them. So here we go. So there you all are. So they're they are back now for you. So I will pick through the questions and ask those to the panel. They will choose obviously who's going to answer them. So if you do have any further questions, then please pop them in there and I will obviously send those on. So we'll start with a question from Darren, which is around Ofsted. So I'll put this one to you, Mr. Pennington. So the last Ofsted report stated the school requires improvement. Obviously that was quite a while ago now, about 18 months ago. But what measures have been taken and put in place since then to address the concerns in that report?
Right, I'm live now, aren't I, sir? I've got the
You are live, yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay. In terms of next steps to move on from that last Ofsted report, I would refer to really those three key priorities that we have that we're holding for our academy improvement plan at the moment. And that is firstly, that baseline of social behaviour, instilling this idea of manners, determination and teamwork right throughout the academy, making sure that all students understand that this is a place where everyone should be coming, feeling comfortable about coming to every day, enjoying learning and enjoying feeling part of the community. That's the baseline. The next stage is really featuring more on the academic side, pushing that idea of aspiration, making sure that people, all the different students, feel that they're making progress along the way in terms of all the different subjects that we teach at Holgate Academy. Really instilling that determination, and determination to learn is going to be a key feature as we move through this academic year. Finally, the last one that sort of ties in with those two is that idea again of community spirit. It's about being involved in enrichment, making sure that our students feel part of the academy. They don't just come here to come to school, they are part of what we are, and we are Holgate. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question is around curriculum, which is how do you, as an academy, ensure the quality of your curriculum and in turn teaching? And I think we've touched on some of that within the presentation.
Yeah, I think that's probably one for me again. Really, we have, obviously Mr Diamond is here tonight as assistant principal. We have Miss Chauhan, who is the assistant principal, who is responsible for teaching and learning, someone who is extremely experienced in this field. From the changes that have gone on recently with Ofsted, she's been right at the forefront of these changes, ensuring that our long-term plans are in place, ensuring that the medium-term plans of sort of tweaking that and looking at the different styles of pedagogy that we should be using for different styles of learning for different individuals, making sure that as both Ms Chapman and Mr Diamond have alluded to, making sure that we're reaching out to every single student depending on their own styles of learning, depending on their own determination levels, making sure that we cater for everybody, making sure that we're pushing everybody. That then translates itself into those short-term plans. And they are what, as parents, you probably hear about. So what did you do today? Well, we did this great activity in lesson today. I've been popping into lessons today and seeing some of today's year 7s jumping out of the seats, trying to knock each other off the perch, which is the game that they play on the whiteboard, where again, another type of teaching and learning activity that generates that enthusiasm in the classroom. So really, in answer to the question, we're looking at long-term plans, medium-term plans, and the short-term plans that manifest themselves in terms of what our actual teachers are delivering and how they're delivering those lessons. And when you combine all three of those and you look at the amount of planning that's gone in to make that all cohesive, we are definitely addressing the curriculum in a way that meets the needs of our students.
Brilliant, that's great, thank you very much for that. Another anonymous question is around behaviour and attendance. So obviously we touched on behaviour and attendance within the presentation, but what is the reward policy for students, you know, good work, good behaviour, etc.?
I'll pick up on this one. As attendance lead, so work with the year heads as well. So the first thing to point out is that we celebrate the students who come to the academy every day on time and meet those basic expectations. So we celebrate that and we reward that using our positive points pathway. So students will be awarded +5s, +10s for all those sorts of things, or 100% attendance in a week, as well as working hard in lessons. All of those points link through to various different rewards, but under normal circumstances, again, putting COVID to one side, that would all lead into accessing the big rewards trip, which we run at the end of the year, where students who've achieved over those 2,300 positive points get to go out for the day, celebrate. But there are lots of other little rewards that are more immediate. So from things like bags of sweets to celebrate good work or good attendance. We have pizza parties, you know, we have cinema afternoons. So lots of celebration, because what we don't want is those students who do what's expected of them and those students who go further than is expected of them to just think, well, what do I get from this? Yes, clearly they're going to, the research shows, perform better in school and when it comes to exams, because if you're in the classroom every day, if you're paying attention and working hard every day, you're developing your knowledge, you're developing your understanding, you're going to perform better. But under that more immediate, you know, children like to be rewarded, to be celebrated. So it's all about those immediate things, celebrating in the classroom, celebrating around the school on year group and tutor notice boards, and again, those tiny little things where we have run little competitions in lessons and the winner gets a bag of sweet. It might sound like nothing, but the competition that can create for a small bag of sweets is immense. So we try and do little and often, but the key thing with all of our rewards is about celebrating everybody that meets the expectations, basic expectations, and to go through them again, linked into manners, determination and teamwork. So if you're showing good manners, you're a good team player and you're being determined in those lessons, you're going to get lots and lots of celebratory positive points. You're going to get lots of comments from staff, lots of positive contact home to you as parents and carers, because we want to show youngsters that it pays to be that type of student and to be part of the Holgate community.
Can I just add to that as well? So our year sevens, in fact all our year groups follow a day-to-day, week-to-week plan. So a schedule that all of my tutors will follow on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday to ensure consistency across the tutor groups. And one of the data programmes is all about the citizenship programme, which is new for year sevens this year. And it's going to create that link back home. So it's not only celebrating the students' academic achievement in lessons, the effort in lessons, it's also linking to things that they do at home. So for example, they will be celebrated if they help to tidy up at home, if they help out parents, if they know where the local shop is, if they're able to get their uniform ready the night before. So the tutors will be spending time with the students every single week, linking home with parents as well, who can clarify that they've done those things to celebrate in school. And as Mr Diamond mentioned, that there are small rewards, there are certificates which the students love that are handed out in assembly and praised in front of everybody. There are sweets that are given out, and hopefully, as long as things ease slightly, but the ultimate citizen, the award at the end, if the students carry out and fulfil all of the criteria, will be a celebration afternoon with parents hopefully in school, so that you guys can come in, see the work that the students have done. But for me, it's not just the academic and not just the lessons, but it's what they do outside of the lessons that's really important as well. And that links to what Mr Pennington mentioned earlier about the social environment for the students.
Yeah, I don't want to keep this question going on too much longer, but strictly some things spring to mind for myself as well. You know, there's been a lot of leadership change in the academy. This ties in with what's changed. You know, what's changed since the last Ofsted report. In terms of leadership, obviously myself has come in January, but right through the infrastructure of the academy, we've got change. We've got assistant principal changes. We've got a whole new senior leadership, if you like. We've got a whole new system in terms of heads of year, as Ms Chapman sitting next to me now is head of year 7. So a complete change of infrastructure with that. And with that, really what we've seen is a drive for a brand new culture, one that's really shifting away from the punitive style of behaviour management towards supportive. So what I would suggest to anyone who knows they've got children who possibly don't always do as they're told and don't always do exactly what we want them to do. We are a supportive network here. This is not going to be about turning up and just getting detention after detention. We're shifting away from that type of approach. We're pushing towards a supportive approach that finds out what those social and emotional triggers are for every single student that arrives. And I think in terms of the positivity and the positive approach to this, one thing I can state that is a big strategy that we're introducing this year that I think is a clear commitment to actually holding up our most positive students and saying these are the students that we want you to copy. This is how we want you to behave. So a brand new strategy altogether this year is going to be called the Holgate Achievers. We've already embarked on this. Some of our year 7s no doubt will already have gone home, really full of excitement. They've already been identified within this cohort, and they have been identified on the basis of those 3 core values that everything keeps coming back to: your manners, your determination, your teamwork. So again, really pushing this idea that you don't have to be top of the class to be exceedingly well behaved and to come across in the right way. And they're the virtues that we're really pushing on: the manners, determination and teamwork.
Brilliant, thank you very much for that. So just moving on ever so slightly, in terms of behaviour, we've been asked a couple of questions around if there is any kind of what's the best way to phrase this, antisocial behaviour in class. How is that dealt with?
I'll go first if you want. You can pick up. Yeah. So we have a very clear set of expectations for students in the classroom. Where, like I said, where our students meet those expectations, they are celebrated, as we've discussed. Where a student decides that they don't want to meet those expectations for whatever reason, then the clear priority is the learning that is taking place in that classroom. So we have a clear consequence pathway that is in place to prevent any form of low-level disruption or any other events from preventing everybody from being the best they can be by being in those lessons. So we use a warning system, we use the negative points, the opposite to the positive points that we're talking about, and we do also have lots of different strategies that we use in terms of things like, has been mentioned, detentions, but also, which is really important, is the mentoring work that tutors, year leaders, our pastoral manager and senior colleagues do in terms of identifying why students are feeling the need to disrupt the lesson with with low-level disruption, identifying what it is that's stopping them from engaging and meeting those basic expectations. And the mentoring that goes in and the support that goes in with that is again a real success story for the Academy in recent months, seeing lots of positive cases. But like Mr Pennington said, it is about celebrating those positives, yes, dealing with any form of negatives that might come through the consequence pathway, but really celebrating. So people want to be seen to be being rewarded. People want to be part of these reward activities that we do in getting the certificates in assembly, and really pushing that idea. We're going to celebrate the top students, those students that are doing what we expect on an hourly basis, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And if you don't want to meet those standards, yes, there will be the consequence pathway, but you'll be missing out. And that's the way that we go in, along with that support, identifying the needs, looking for support. If we need to go to external agencies for support as well, we do that. But it's not about just taking the problem and moving it somewhere else. It's about identifying the reason for the problem, supporting them so they can again be the best that they can be moving forward and access those positives that we've spoken about before.
Yeah, I mean, really for me, I think I'm pretty much covering the same ground, but it's all about, is it fair? Is it intelligent? Are we actually doing something that's going to result in a better product for the students concerned and for the rest of their peers in the classroom? What we definitely don't want is the behaviour of one student affecting the life chances of everybody else who's in the room. If we need to take action, we will do. On the same side, on the other side of the coin, though, we want to know what the triggers are. We don't give up on people just because they've disrupted or because they've let themselves down on a particular day. We work with them. We find out what it is that is the issue. What is it that's triggering that behaviour? Is it confidence? Is it that they need some more accessible work? Is it that they need more support with their work? Is it that they need to reflect on their own social and emotional state? And in this day and age, we've got lots of students arriving with sensory issues, things like in the modern era now, we've got students using phones so much that sitting in a classroom with nothing to distract them whatsoever is just not their usual practice. And it's about training them to understand what those expectations are in the classroom, but being firm and being fair at the same time.
Can I just add, from my perspective as a year leader, linked to that and working out the triggers for the students also comes a lot of the time from speaking with parents. So having that contact with home, whether it's through a phone call from the tutors to yourselves or from myself to you guys, and just asking if there's anything going on at home that we should be aware of. And often, hopefully, if that relationship with parents has built, which it has done currently with my year 7s, the parents feeling that actually even before I message them, that they message me and say, this is going on, please can you support? And that's exactly what we're about. We're not about two separate entities. We're about working together with home, with school, to try and get the best from the students.
Yeah, I just want to throw in another one there as well, because I know so many times I've heard this said in many schools, oh, that's their behaviour outside of school. We're interested in the behaviour outside of school because we want to work with families to make sure that we're turning our students into the best people that they can possibly be. So it's a partnership between home and school to get the best individual.
Brilliant.
Sorry, Paul, I'm just going to jump in because something sprung to mind, and this is something that is very new. It was something that the new leadership and middle leadership team that were put in place sort of post-January, but didn't then get fully into flow because of the lockdown. But that's the idea of restorative justice within school. So if a student is disrupting a lesson, they will be expected to have a conversation with that member of staff from that lesson to discuss what happened. So even if that is just being caught talking when the teacher's talking, the students will be expected to have a restorative justice conversation with their teacher, so that the teacher has the opportunity to explain to them the impact it had on the lesson, but also the teacher can try and identify some of those areas that might need further support as well. And it's something that's very much in its infancy at Holgate, but it's something that in only a few short weeks has seen real strides in terms of improving that low-level disruption and that behaviour in the classroom. So it's something that we continue to work on, but we're currently really excited about the impact that that will have moving forward.
Yeah, great. So if I can move on to another subject, we've been asked a couple of questions on a similar sort of theme. So we've been asked who the best person to contact regarding special educational needs is and disabilities, and we've also been asked about provision for children with dyslexia. So I think we can probably wrap those up in one question.
Okay, we predicted there might be a question on that, so we've already got a bit of a plan on who's going to answer that. So I'm going to start very generically. Like I mentioned, we've got provision through our SEND department for lots of different support for students that join us in Year 7, one of which is something that I'm personally very proud of because I was involved with it, and I know the Academy and the Trust hold as being a real example of good practice, and that's what we call our accelerated learning room, which is a room that there will be some students that even more so this year because of the lockdown and the school closure, but every year there are some students that perhaps aren't quite ready for that step from primary to secondary for lots of different reasons, whether it might be from an anxiety point of view, whether it might be from a SEND specific point of view, or a life experience. So we have a room with qualified staff and experts in SEND who basically take the students in September and extend the transition period. So it's very much a primary room. The work is the same that they would do out in the curriculum with Year 7s, but might be tailored to different needs, but allows those students to settle into the site and with fewer staff first, and then when they are ready and their work is of the right standard, start to move out with the aim for everybody to be out into those mainstream lessons by Easter. Along with that, we have an extremely talented and committed team of TAs who are led by Charlotte Davis, who is the Senko for the Academy. In terms of who to contact, she is the best person to contact. And I think, Paul, if people have got specific questions, we can probably take those from this chat and pass them on to Charlotte, and we can get those answers. Or people are more than welcome to contact the Academy and ask to speak to Charlotte, and if she's available, then I'm sure she will speak to you. Otherwise, she'll get back to you as soon as she can. But she leads a really talented, like I said, an experienced group of TAs that offer support, testing, in-class support, out-class support, outreach work. So they have a huge array of skills. And if anyone has any specific questions, please do contact the Academy and we'll put you in contact.
Just to add there from my point of view, from a transition point of view, a little bit earlier I spoke about the conversations I had with the primary Year 6 teachers. Along with myself, there was members of the SEND team that came along with me on the calls and would normally come into the school to discuss the certain needs of individuals. So all of that information feeds from the primary school really easily into the secondary school to make sure that when you actually come to us in September, that provision is already in place. So obviously we've got the AL room as Mr Diamond spoke about, and that's currently got 17 students in it. But what was really important for me was that actually they still experience the mainstream. So they do go out for some subjects, for the art subjects, for art, for PE. So they are mixing with the mainstream, but they do get that extra support for the English, the maths, the science in that really small group. But alongside that, if the students aren't in the AL room, the provision for extra maybe literacy, extra math support, smaller group support, TA support, that's all put in place prior to the students coming to us in September. So it's not a case of us just waiting until September and seeing how the students do. From the links that we have with the primary schools and the information we have with them, that comes to us from there, so we can be ready to start as soon as they come to us in September.
Brilliant, thank you very much, everyone. So moving on, we've got about 5 minutes left of the Q&A, so I'll try and get through a couple of others. So Isabella has asked us a couple of questions about kind of personal development and enrichment. So apparently she plays football for Hucknall Sports under 11 girls, Mr Diamond, so that's one to keep an eye on. But she's asking about kind of sport, music and art, you know, what is there for students to do within the curriculum and also outside of the curriculum?
Okay, so going back to the presentation, so all Year 7 students will access all of those subjects that you've mentioned. We make sure that we also add into the art area things like photography, so they're getting an experience of other subjects that they may find a passion for, or a certain skill for they want to pick up in GCSE. So the music lessons, the drama lessons, the art, photography, design, technology, cooking, they're all done through curriculum time from Year 7 all the way through to Year 9, and then in Year 10 options come in alongside the core subjects. Within PE, there are 2 practical lessons of PE a week in Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. Range of subjects, again, speaking very post and pre-COVID. We cover football, rugby, trampolining, table tennis, athletics, rounders, dance. There's 2 PE teachers here, so I'm feeling a little bit of pressure not to forget any. Netball,
fitness.
Yeah, fitness, and again, pretty much every sport that we do in curriculum time, we try and enter the competitions, extracurricular, and have those clubs. A lot are done at lunchtime as well as after school, for that extra enrichment during those times. And like I said, the 2 PE teachers sat here, we are desperate for rules and regulations to reduce a little bit so we can go back to that. It's something that is really good to see on a daily basis in school. And also very enjoyable to be involved with, and again, going back to the presentation, allows for those really strong relationships to be built between students, teachers, parents, and again the community in terms of external football, contact, rugby, and so on.
I think it's probably quite a good point to add in also that after the live section of tonight, on our school website there will be links to a PowerPoint that's put together from our faculty leaders. So that will outline all of what's covered specifically by those staff in terms of what's covered in maths, what's covered in PE, what's covered in English. So as you can imagine, it would be a lot for us to go through. So if you do want to have a look at what exactly is in the curriculum, so I think it's Isabella, if you wanted to have a look at what's on the PE PowerPoint on the slide, and it will go to all of the sports, just in case myself and Mr Diamond's forgotten any.
Brilliant. I think you've covered it quite extensively, actually. So we'll try and get a couple more questions in. So COVID has obviously been a bit of a theme, and Jo has asked us a question about how she wants to understand how we have dealt with kind of remote education and learning during this difficult period.
Okay, that's definitely a question for me, I think, that one. So this has obviously been challenging. Right from the first day of lockdown, really, we had to put our thinking hats on straight away and start thinking about how we could cater for a situation that no one has actually come across before. I know that lots of schools have tried different things. You look up and down the country, you see different approaches. The approach that we resulted with has been held in very high regard within the trust, where for every single subject, staff, faculty leaders, teaching staff have compiled a full range of work packs that have been able to be used by our students. Now, what we were very, very careful about here, and this is really where I think Holgate Academy does have a strength, and that is that we have all the different attributes, all the different sections of the academy working together. So, for example, although this was pretty much themed around the academic side and the subject side of things in terms of preparation, we worked very closely with pastoral staff to ensure that when we did deliver this, and when we made students aware of the different work that was available for them to work on, what we didn't want to do is force them into a position where they might feel that they weren't managing to keep up with it. We were in close contact with parents and trying to make sure that we got the balance right, so that what we were suggesting that was a general expectation from our students wasn't too much and wasn't too little. We're making sure that the students who really wanted to push ahead and really take advantage of home learning were able to do so, and making sure that those work packs gave that opportunity, but at the same time making sure that there was enough accessible work and enough support for those students that were finding it difficult. We've got to understand, at a time like COVID, the COVID lockdown, you've got different students in different situations at home. You've got some with a dedicated laptop. You've got others who are sharing a laptop between three of their siblings. You've got others without a laptop or any internet connection at all. And as I say, I would suggest that our academy catered for every single student. We had our support team, again, I talk about the different elements of our staff, the different sections of our staff. We had the support team hand delivering work packs to students who were not able to access the internet. So really, it was a case of making sure that whatever the needs of the student were, we would be able to provide them with a meaningful work pack that we were able to then track and give them some signpost into their next steps for progress. Great,
that's fabulous, thank you. And then one really quick last question is what's the catering like?
Brilliant.
And it's that time of night where we're all thinking about food as well, yes. Yeah. And I can say from my experience,
we have two canteens, one based at the lower site, one at the upper site. They do everything from toast and waffles in the mornings through to all your snack foods through to, you know, the main meal of the day. So there's pretty much everything that anybody could want. The needs are met. And the one thing that I will say about the catering team here is that if there are specific diets, or someone has a specific allergy, or they just are choosy about what they like to eat, if they have conversations with the catering staff, they will do everything they can to ensure that there is food for them, no matter how much trouble that might be. So the food is good, covers every taste that you could possibly come up with, and they certainly get us through some lunchtime duties in the winter with their main meals. So yeah,
me and Mr Diamond ended up pushing each other out of the way to try and get the last roast dinner.
Just to add to that, just in case parents did want to know, we have a squid system in school where students have their fingerprint taken, and parents can update money onto their squid account, so students don't have to bring cash into the academy. But linked to that also, parents can see what the students are spending their money on each day. So quite often with our year 7s to begin with, they go home and the parents are wondering why they've spent £3 and they're still starving, and they then work out they've eaten 3 muffins and a waffle. So from a parent point of view, it is very good because you will be able to identify and see what the students are eating every day. So that's there as well in terms of keeping an eye on them.
And to keep the running theme of 3-pronged answer, I'd just like to throw in again, though, there are some horror stories that you hear from some schools where children have turned up, their squid wasn't working or something like that, and then they've ended up going without food. That does not happen here. Again, going back to this community theme, if a student arrives and they've just got cash or something like that, we make sure that they are fed. We do what needs to be done to support the students of this academy, and we don't rely on a system and turn on to someone and deny them of a lunch or something like that just because they haven't managed to upload onto the squid system.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So I will just pop back into the live window. So there I am again. So thank you to everybody for asking your questions to our panel tonight. And as I mentioned before the session, any that we haven't managed to get to will be answered on our website before the end of the week. We'll try and do a summary of those questions that we've had tonight as well. So just to close tonight, I'm going to pass back to Mr Pennington, who'd just like to say a few words before we end the open evening tonight. So back to you, Mr Pennington.
Okay, thanks a lot, Paul. Firstly, a big thank you to you, because I know how much work you put into making this happen tonight. Certainly, when I took post in January, I wasn't expecting to be involved in a virtual open evening. I've got to say, so far, apart from a few tangled words, I think so far we've enjoyed the experience, and I hope all the parents have done as well. But in the position that I am in, I must say how much pride I have already in the role that I've taken up at Holgate Academy. You look at the video that was produced along with the help from Miss Chapman from our young Year 7s, and you think, I think to myself about the deep sense of pride that I've got. They were a group of Year 7 students, and Miss Chapman has actually just been telling me that they literally had no prior warning. Another form had been asked if they would be willing to do that, and I'm sure that most parents will be aware that we have had some situations where we've had to ask students to go home to self-isolate just in the last week or so. And so those students that stepped in, literally stepped in completely unprepared. Didn't they do an absolutely amazing job? Didn't they show the sort of confidence that I think a lot of adults would struggle with, suddenly being thrust in front of a camera? And some of the answers were particularly, really insightful as well. Okay, but on this subject of pride as well, at this point in time, I can't express to you any more about the pride that I've got in the staff at the Academy. Mr Diamond spoke before about the team spirit here. It is absolutely second to none. The staff at this Academy are amazing at pulling together. If there's an issue, if there's a need for support, if there's anything going wrong, our staff pull together, and they do that for the students first and foremost, but secondly, and I think very importantly, for each other as well, to make sure that we're all coming to school and feeling part of a staff team as well. Pride in our students. So I've already mentioned the Year 7s, but what a response from the rest of our students. As I've mentioned, some recently have been asked to go and self-isolate, and the response we've had from the other students in the Academy in terms of dealing with that, in terms of responding in the right way to their teachers, in terms of applying those core values of managed determination, teamwork, in the last few days in particular, absolutely outstanding. I can't really state it anymore. I'm just so proud of the way that our students are responding in this current situation. Just moving on and really trying to divert away from that for a second and look at where education as a whole is. I'm sure that some of the parents listening might be very, very up to speed with some of the latest changes from Ofsted, but just in case you're not, there has been a recent huge change in the Ofsted framework. And one of the big buzz phrases that seems to have come out from that is this idea of knowing more and remembering more. Every single school up and down the country, every single leader, that's what they seem to be referring to. Knowing more, remembering more. But in my opinion, I'm not really sure that that is really referring to the key ingredients for determination, for making sure that our students turn up and do the best that they can do and achieve the best that they can do. For me, it really does rely on enjoyment. It relies on a sense of achievement. It relies on a sense of responsibility. And my personal belief is that if our students come to school and enjoy more, then they will achieve more. Our leadership team has placed this absolute emphasis on community, making sure it's at the heart of everything we do. And that sense of responsibility for our pupils is the thing that's going to make parents proud, carers proud, and ultimately our teachers proud. That's the thing that I think will make the biggest difference for all your children. If they're coming to school wanting to make all of us in partnership proud, I can't see anything else other than progress, and progress in personal development and progress in the academic subjects that they study. So in just wrapping everything up, I'd just like to say thank you all for attending. I'd also like to just remind you that the closing date for applications is the 31st of October through the Nottinghamshire County Council website. And really, I really do hope to see many of the pupils here in September, many of your children here in September. So thank you very much. Thank you from the panel, I think, as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. If you've got any questions that are still outstanding that you haven't asked, please don't hesitate to contact us at the Academy. Like I said, if you need help with the application process or anything like that, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us and one of the team will get back to you and support in any way we can.
Okay, that's brilliant. So thank you very much, and thank you to everyone for attending, and we will end the event now. So thank you.